I'd like to say good evening and welcome to the SFO Community Roundtable meeting of June 4th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order. As a reminder, tonight's meeting will have hybrid access and members attending in person and the public welcome to attend in person or remotely. For members of the public who wish to speak to the membership, please fill out a speaker slip located at the entrance. And for those attending remotely, please use the Zoom raise hand feature to be recognized during public comment. We'll now proceed with roll call to confirm attendance and verify that we have a quorum present to conduct official business. Diane, could you please proceed with roll call?
Thank you, Vice Chair. City and County of San Francisco, absent. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office, absent. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission,
Present.
thank you. San Mateo County Board of Supervisors, absent. CCAG Airport Land Use Commission, absent. Town of Atherton,
Present.
City of Belmont, absent. City of Brisbane,
Terry O'Connell, present.
City of Burlingame, absent. Town of Colma,
Present.
City of Daly City,
Pamela DiGiovanni, present.
City of East Palo Alto, absent. City of Foster City,
Susie Niederhofer, present.
City of Half Moon Bay,
Patrick Johnson, present.
City of Hillsborough,
Christine Krolik, present on Zoom, caring for a family member.
City of Menlo Park, absent. City of Millbrae,
Stephen Rinaldi, present.
City of Pacifica,
Christine Bowles, present.
Town of Portola Valley,
Rebecca Flynn, present.
City of Redwood City,
Kaya Aiken, present.
City of San Bruno, absent. City of San Carlos, absent. City of San Mateo, absent. City of South San Francisco,
Mark Nagals, present.
Town of Woodside.
Paul Gold, present.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We have a quorum.
Great, thank you so much. The next item on the agenda is public comment on items not on the agenda. This is an opportunity for the public to address the roundtable on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes and note that while roundtable members can't and will not discuss or act on these items tonight, your input is always valued. Diane, please read the instructions for public comments on this item and let us know if there's any public comments from members in the Zoom or in the room.
Thank you, Vice Chair. For members of the public, the full instructions on how to participate in today's meeting may be found on the published agenda. On Zoom, please use the raise hand feature or *9 if you're calling by phone to indicate your desire to speak. All speakers will have 2 minutes. And we have 2 speakers. First, Mr. John Hamilton.
Thank you. My name is John Hamilton. I live over on Bay Farm Island in Alameda. I'm president of a noise group called CLASS. We've been around for about 30 years. We represent 3,000 homes on Bay Farm Island. We're right next to the airport across the way. We have about a third of the planes that are taking off in the daytime from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. that turn about 6 degrees to the left over the center of the bay, towards the center of the bay. And that gives us a noise reduction of about 3 to 6 decibels. That's a win. The candle procedure, which has the airplanes taking off from the south field at the other airport, they do not make that left turn. And we would like to have that left turn be part of the FAA procedures. And I know that from presentations that Bert has made, that there's some discussion about possible changes in the future. And my goal is very simple, and that is that when discussions are made having to do with possible changes, we want to make sure that what's happening with the airplanes that are taking off from the other side of the bay are kind of included such that it does not close the door for some small changes that we'd like to make to improve the standard of living for the 15,000 people who live on Bay Farm Island. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call on Mr. Paul Jordan.
Hello.
My name is Paul Jordan. I'm from South San Francisco. Thank you for having me and receiving my comments. The past 3 months, I've seen, my neighbors and I have seen a drastic increase in flights directly over South San Francisco, particularly kind of over our neighborhood. I live Hillside and Airport Boulevard, kind of about that area. From the statistics and things that I can find on the SFO website is that the planes departures seem to be an increase in, I guess it's called Truckin' 28, but they take off on runway 28 and then they make more or less a hard right or almost a U-turn and fly directly over the city of South San Francisco. And I've lived in my house for 5 or 6 years now, and the noise has never been at the level that it has been at. The increase in that has drastically changed my and my neighbors' quality of life. I have a small child constantly being woken up in the middle of the night. The statistics that I found is that takeoff path was hardly ever used before. I was seeing, like, from the statistics monthly, it was like 0 to 1%. The only ones that have been updated on the website are for March, where it's increased to 6% of all departures. And hasn't really changed much over the past few months that I've seen. I've been trying to log complaints as much as I can, but I don't get much feedback other than generic emails, and I couldn't really contact anyone about that. So I'm just here to put that out there. I just hope that maybe it's weather related. It's been very drastic, and I just hope that it's not something moving forward, because I enjoy where I live very much. And I like my neighbors and my community and the peace that we used to have. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last speaker on Zoom is Ms. Darlene Yapley. Ms. Yapley?
Do any roundtable members or residents want more aircraft operations? The draft EIR for SFO's recommended development plan falls short of what's needed for an informed decision. It states the project is not needed to meet forecast demand, yet proposes boarding area H with more gates, a 243,000 square foot apron, and a maintenance hangar. These facilities will enable up to 506,000 operations annually, a 30% increase over the 386,000 operations in 2024. If existing facilities can meet demand, what justifies this development? The rationale remains insufficient and the potential impacts require full analysis. Per CEQA, agencies must assess not only direct impacts, but also reasonably foreseeable consequences. Adding gates in an apron space clearly enables more operations, which means its associated noise, emissions, and traffic impacts must be evaluated. The DER states repeatedly that the project will not result in increasing capacity at SFO. It does. The DEIR does not address many concerns raised during the 2019 scoping process, including those from San Mateo County Supervisor Pine, several cities and residents, all calling for a comprehensive review of community impacts. SFO receives over 793 noise complaints in 2024, yet the DEIR relies solely on the outdated 65 DNL and overlooks the FAA findings from the Neighborhood Environmental Survey, showing that harm occurs at much lower levels. More appropriate methods like N above and ambient noise, which SFO already uses, should be applied. The air quality analysis omits ultrafine particles despite known health issues and from low altitude aircraft. We respectfully urge SFO to revise and reissue the DEIR with updated data and a more comprehensive environmental review, consistent with CEQA and responsive to community concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. And one last speaker, Mr. Remy Tan.
Hello, good evening, Honorable Commission and Roundtable. This is Remy Tan again, Pacifica. I live in the north part of Pacifica, and we are just inundated by aircraft noise late at night. It goes from 10 o'clock all the way to 3 a.m. And this is a constant problem. It's getting worse and worse, and it wakes us up. And a lot of us are just outside the window improvement area, so, we have no relief at all. I'm hoping that the Roundtable and SFO can consider, some items, maybe some incentives that would, have higher takeoff slots between the 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. time to encourage the airlines to take off, maybe, between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. They still can get over to Asia in the morning, and, they can fly their planes a little bit slower since they're leaving earlier, and that would save them even more money. So maybe we can propose something like that. And someday in the future, we, ought to figure out a way that we can use Oakland's runway, which is over the water, both in landing and takeoff, and figure out a way to get some kind of shuttle system between both airports, so that runway can be used both by Oakland and SFO during the late evening, where it's, would least disturb the least amount of residents in, northern San Mateo, Alameda, and San Francisco counties. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. There are no other public comments.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to set the agenda and approve the consent items. On today's consent calendar, we have approval of the SFO Community Roundtable minutes, the SFO Director's Report for March 2025 and April 2025, and the FAA IFP Information Gateway Summary Reports from April 2025 and May 2025. Do we have any members who would like to pull an item from the consent calendar for separate discussion? Seeing none, if there's no additional comments from members, we'll take public comment on the items before opening for a vote for the members.
Thank you. There are no public comments at this time.
Okay, and I will accept a motion and a second to accept the consent calendar.
Martin Gonzalez, move.
Second?
Thank you. And we don't need to do a roll call vote, we can just do a verbal.
I think we do need to do a roll call vote because we have a remote.
Okay, then a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, absent. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office, absent. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission.
Present?
Oh,
Sorry.
yes.
Present.
Yes, thank you. San Mateo County Board of Supervisors.
Present? Yes?
Yes, thank you. CCAG Airport Land Use Commission, absent. Town of Atherton.
Yes.
City of Belmont, absent. City of Brisbane.
Yes?
City of Burlingame, absent. Town of Colma.
Yes.
City of Daly City.
Yes?
City of East Palo Alto, absent. City of Foster City.
Yes.
City of Half Moon Bay.
Yes.
City of Town of Hillsborough.
Yes.
City of Menlo Park, absent. City of Millbrae.
Yes.
City of Pacifica.
Yes.
Town of Portola Valley.
Yes.
City of Redwood City.
Yes.
City of San Bruno, absent. City of San Carlos, absent. City of San Mateo, absent. City of South San Francisco.
Yes.
Town of Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Motion passes.
Great, thank you very much. We'll now move on to the chairman update. And I believe since Chair Krolik is attending remotely, I'll go ahead and read this portion. There's a few important updates before we move into our regular agenda. As a follow-up to a request made by Member Spear at our February meeting, we extended formal invitations to local, state, and federal elected officials to attend and engage with the Roundtable. I'm pleased to share that we received a response from Representative Mullen confirming that they will begin sending staff to attend and participate in our meetings moving forward. We're also pleased to have received this response and we see it as a valuable step forward towards strengthening our partnership and advancing collaborative efforts to address community noise concerns. The Ground-Based Noise Subcommittee met on May 5th and reviewed the results of the Up the Hill Noise Measurement Program. The full roundtable will hear the results during an item later on the agenda tonight. However, I want to thank the Ground-Based Noise members, the SFO Noise Office, and our consultants, HMMH, for their work in completing the study. Looking ahead at our next meeting in August, members will be presented with the Roundtable's 2025-26 work plan, as well as the proposed budget. The work plan will be reviewed by the Technical Working Group later this month. The Technical Working Group will then bring forward final recommendations for adoption by the full Roundtable. Additionally, we're excited to begin the process of revamping the Roundtable's public website. This project will be coordinated in partnership with the Technical Working Group and improving usability and compliance, as well as expanding educational initiatives and efforts. If any members have a particular interest in website development or would like to participate in the development of the new website, please reach out to myself or the chair directly. We're looking for some help and insight. Lastly, I'd like to warmly welcome our FAA partners who are with us on the call this evening. We appreciate your continued participation and partnership. If you have any updates or remarks you'd like to share with the members, I'd like to open up the floor for you now.
Ms. Young.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks. It's happy to be here today. I just wanted to share that Moifair Chin, who was our community engagement officer, she's no longer with the FAA, but I am here at the meeting today, and I will be your point of contact moving forward. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Great, thank you so much. And we do appreciate that you're able to attend our meetings.
Can we ask her what her role is at the FAA?
Excuse me?
Can we ask her what her role is at the FAA?
Sure. Carletta, would you mind giving your role with the FAA?
Oh, sorry. Yes, my name is Carlette Young, and I'm the Supervisory Senior Advisor for the FAA's Western Pacific region, and I oversee the community engagement for our region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We've already moved to set and approve the items on the consent calendar, so we're now moving on to our regular agenda. And that includes SFO International Airport updates and an update on the SFO's Fly Quiet program from the Aircraft Noise Office. I think that's Bert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can start with the director's report, and then I can turn it over to Bert for the Fly Quiet updates. For those of you who I have not met yet, my name is Mike Nikornket. I'm the relatively new airport director at San Francisco International Airport. Been on the job for 5.5 months, and time flies. I can't believe it's June already. This is my second community roundtable. Great to be here. I'm also part of the community as I live here locally in Millbrae, so I love my commute here this evening. We are in the middle of the summer here at SFO. We expect 16.2 million travelers this summer, which is basically between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and that's up 4% from last summer. Although when you look at the entire year, we don't expect to be back to 2019 levels quite yet. So we expect to get there in approximately 2 years by 2027. When you look at the month of May, however, passengers are very strong. So we're seeing a lot of summer traffic begin to materialize and return. We are at 99% of pre-pandemic levels if you zoom into that month alone. And our flight operations are at 95% of pre-pandemic levels. As far as new service, yesterday we just announced a new service to the Azores, Portugal, A330 wide-body service that started yesterday once a week. I think I mentioned that in my last roundtable. And the only upcoming new service that we know of as of now is United Airlines' new service to Adelaide starting December 11th with 3 flights a week, Boeing 787 service, arriving at 11:15 a.m. and departing at 11:05 p.m. My last update is related to the Advanced Air Mobility Forum, or eVTOLs, that you may have heard about. As you know, we are not actively seeking eVTOLs to come to the airport. However, as an airport operator, we feel that it's important for us to understand the development of advanced air mobility, including eVTOLs, and we partnered with the UC Berkeley Transportation Sustainability Research Center to help understand what this activity looks like and help us be prepared for it, and everything that will materialize as we lead up to the technology being prevalent. So we are hosting, in partnering with UC Berkeley, hosting a forum to bring together industry experts, aircraft manufacturers, airlines, transportation agencies, and other organizations to discuss what this future could hold and what it could look like. And I'd like to extend an invitation to everybody here on this committee. If you would like to join, please let me or Doug Yackel know by the end of this week. The forum will take place on Thursday, June 12th from 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Grand Hyatt at SFO. And with that, I will turn it over to Bert for his update.
Thank you, sir. So without further ado, we'll go to the noise office updates. And, oops, wrong one. Okay. There we are. So, noise office task items. One of the big things that I'm particularly happy with is we had been noticing on the night departures, United Airlines flight 512, it's a 777 wide body going to Houston, scheduled to depart at 12:43, typically does not actually get on the runway to depart until somewhere after 1 a.m. And so I thought maybe that we just start chipping at these one at a time and knock them off. I reached out to United, made an offer to them that they could save a few air miles if they used runway 1 towards Oakland, departing to the east 050 heading, and save a little bit of gas, or please use the night departure, which is a longer circuitous route. I'll show you some images of those in just a moment. But they said, yeah, sounds like a plan. And so they put it into their facility operations manual. I think the Jeppesen 10.7 page is what he called it. And since they started that in early May, we've only had one on United 512. And I asked them to please extend that to other flights as well. So what we have here is April. You can see we had 3 stick departures. The left turn going down the peninsula wakes everybody up. And we try and keep flights over the water on the night, which is this long circuitous route. adds about 25 air miles. And then when I talked with them about it, this one over here is a 050 heading, and let me move this image over here. These 050 headings are the alternate that will actually save them air miles, get them going on their route right away, keeps them over the bay. So we were very pleased about that. We did earn a few gap departures out of it with the weather we had in May. We had a little bit of rain, and that caused us, with the all-west winds we had, for the airplanes going straight out, and you can see they came back around. But only one stick departure. We're going to see if we can hold them to it, and I'm pleased to bring that back to the roundtable. For the repair and replacement initiative, we saw an increase in the amount of homes that were in the application process. We went down again in the units and design, and we had units constructed increase by 8, as you can see here with the 89, and the satisfaction rating has increased. Pleased to report that as well. The Second Chance Initiative, just 2 changes from last time. We had the number of homes here go out for contractor selection, went down to 0 because they are now in construction. Pleased to say that as well. And here we're talking about our expanded eligibility. We had a couple changes here. We had one home it was declined to participate. So far we have 27 homes that have started and then elected not to participate. We had the number of homes here increase by 8 under the acoustical tests. Again, we had the increase of the eligibility as well. And the, let's see, we did break this number here out into groups 2 and 3. It used to be just group 2. Now we have group 2 and 3. So that number increased as well. So the number of properties participating. We went down by 20 here in the units in construction. That's because we have this going up by 20 for a number of homes completed. And if you would prefer, we can take questions now, or I can do it after the fly quiet.
Why don't we open it up now for questions? Please, Paul.
Thank you. Thanks for the report, Bert. So I've been on this for quite many years, and the number of success stories I've heard is shockingly small. You just mentioned one, the United flight to Houston. And you mentioned the stick departure versus the 050. These are all, I'm just using your words. I'm not sure what they mean.
Yes.
But so it seems like that resulted in a pretty dramatic reduction in the number of noise complaints. That's fantastic. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yes.
How many stick departures do we have that fly over the peninsula?
Between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m.?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, between 1 a.m. because that Houston flight leaves after 1 o'clock.
We've been able to get those on the downside right now. We were as high as 12, 20.
Oh, so it's in the
So now we're
couple
getting
of dozen
in
or
single
something.
digit now. Yes.
Why is it that and this is probably reflecting my naivete, but why is it that we have to ask United to do this? And I'm glad that they did it. It saves them money and it saves them, fuel, that sort of thing. Why isn't it possible for us to demand it, or at least have the FDA demand it? It seems like it's a win-win-win for everybody, including most notably the citizens who live on the peninsula who complain about that noise.
I agree. We have found that we need to do targeted working with specific individual airlines that actually have the horsepower to promote it, and then go out and then maybe put it in a 10-7 document so that the airline will say, oh yeah, hey, that's a read file that a pilot needs to do for a given airport. So when they are departing for SFO, they will have to pull the 10-7 page, look at the one for SFO and say, oh, hey, if we're departing at night, we need to use one of these two procedures. So we're trying to get that more and more. We used to do it just by a blanket newsletter. Kind of found that went in the round file. And so now we're doing targeted precision work and see if we can get more.
Yeah, and thank you. My point is not, I mean, I'm very happy that United complied, but it also sounds like we're going to them with our hat in our hand and kind of, asking them, it's a recommendation. My point is, why can't we get the FDA to say, do this?
The FAA right now.
No, they don't work for us.
We haven't had a whole lot of work with them on this. We also have the Airport Noise Capacity Act of 1990, which is a congressional agreement. Part of that was airports cannot tell an airline what, when, why, or how to operate.
That I agree. You've said that many, many times that I've sat here. So maybe the new supervisor, senior advisor, Western Region, who we just met, can help us out on that. She's the liaison.
I do know Carlette and be happy to bring it up with her. We have had a little bit of radio silence with the FAA until just now. And so I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, I look forward to her help. Thank you.
Any other comments from the members? Yes, please, Ms. Spear.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Please. This is painful for me, as many of you know, because I introduced, was it 7 or 8 bills in Congress to deal with many of these issues, and the FAA was, recalcitrant oftentimes. So what's exciting about this is that we got results. And Bert, congratulations to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Because I think what we can do is, now that we have United doing this, you can go to some of the other airlines and say, well, United's doing it, so the peer pressure could have an impact as well, correct?
I'm going to use my contact there to talk to other airlines and say, hey, we're saving air miles by using 050. Why don't you guys request it?
My question was, the homes that you've done, what was the total cost of the rehab?
Oh, boy. One moment. So total cost for the repair and replacement, the budget for this is $7 million, $20 million on the second chance, and then we have $12 million under the expanded eligibility, and that's current funds, not funds already spent.
So is that a yearly appropriation for that, or is that a one-time appropriation?
No, it's these are residual going on year to year. As far as the second chance, that one, no, repair and replacement, that one's $1 million a year that the airport director has been putting into that.
And per house, what does it run? Do you have any idea?
Oh boy, it varies by home, but I think the allocation was 45, 50. Actually, Gerardo, let me get you on a microphone.
Yeah, my name is Gerardo Frias.
Yeah.
Gerardo Frias, I'm the supervisor of the noise insulation program. So the cost really varies because it really depends on the size of the house, et cetera. So I'm just giving you averages. For example, on the expanded eligibility initiative, we have a current grant, and the total budget, including FAA funds and SFO funds, is $12 million. With that, we expect to treat about 80 to 90 homes. So that gives you a good average. And on the repair replacement initiative, we used to have $1 million per year of airport operating funds. It has been increased, I believe it's to $1.5 million per year. 1.5 or 2. I just don't remember the exact number. But again, the cost per house varies because in some cases we have only like 2 or 3 windows that we replace. In some cases we replace many more. So it really varies. Could be $30,000 per home, could be $5,000 per home. So it really varies.
So where is the biggest bang for the buck, so to speak, in terms of reducing the noise in some of these homes? Is it the windows, basically?
In terms of reducing the noise, or let's go back to the repair replacement initiative. That one is not intended to result in insulation. That is only replacing improvements that failed, and we tell the homeowners we'll help replacing the windows, but it's not intended to be re-insulation. So there's really, to respond to your question, there is not really bang for your buck in terms of noise reduction. It's just helping the homeowners. Whereas the other initiative, the one where we have $12 million budget right now for the current phase, that one really is full insulation, meaning using acoustic rated improvements, and the goal is to reduce the noise, the internal noise, by 5 decibels or below 45 decibels. And we are actually reaching those goals. And it's noticeable, the reduction.
Okay, that's very helpful, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Please.
if I can follow up on Supervisor Spear's question about the window replacement. My understanding is that the program, I'm over here, the program is only focusing on single-family homes and not on condominiums and townhomes. Is that still the case now? Because I think you're missing a huge segment of the population that could benefit from the program.
Yeah, the emphasis or the focus of the noise insulation program has indeed been on single-family residential properties. In some special situations, like for example, for this year, for the federal fiscal year starting in 2025, which is October of this year, we actually had applied to the FAA for a grant to insulate an apartment complex for senior residents in South San Francisco. So that is like a special situation, but so far it's been single family. And the particular grant that we're applying for that facility is 75 units, I believe, for senior citizens. Regrettably, we heard today that the FAA will not give us the grant. So we're regrouping and seeing what we need to do. Do we need to apply for the grant next year? Or, you know, that's a different conversation. But I think that addresses your question.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'll be in contact with you about this grant. So, thank you very much.
Any other comments from the members? And do we have any public comment? Oh, yes, please.
Can I see the slide on the gap departure and the 19 to the right? I think it was what you called
Runway 1 to the right? Yes.
yeah. So the gap departure is, what runway are they taking off on that one?
Runway 28.
28, and so 28, if you were to use 28 left, you would have 0 points, is that correct? On the noise levels? Or you guys have a point system on that?
28 right or 28 left, you would score, and you go straight out,
Right.
you score 0 points. We'll get into that more when we talk about the Fly Quiet program.
Okay. So, I mean, it's with the way the winds are, 28 is isn't that the most common runway to use on departures?
No, runway 1 is our
Main
preferred
one?
runway.
Okay.
For departures, runway 28 is for arrivals.
Okay.
Now, during the spring and the fall, it's very typical that we get heavy westerly winds, and so we get these operations that are strong and need to depart into the wind.
Right, and so on the 050 heading departure, that runway is, which one is that one?
Runway 1,
Runway 1, okay.
yeah.
And that
Typically one right.
one right, okay. Because the way the winds are typically, that would be like a left crosswind you'd be hitting if you, that's why it's bouncing back and forth.
They're allowed to do a certain amount of crosswind, and I think it's up to dry runway 25, and that's a lot, but 15 to 20 is typical.
And when you say...
And we typically have 4 to 5 knots, maybe
You say
10.
stick, what do you mean by stick?
The stick departure is this one here. And Oakland has one called the candle. The FAA likes to play with words, so candlestick.
Got it, okay. So that's just determining what you're doing is where you're headed. Okay, thank you.
Any other member comments? And do we have any public comments?
Yes, we have one on Zoom, Miss Jennifer. Go ahead, Miss Jennifer.
Hi, good evening, members of the Roundtable. This is more of a question about coordination, understanding that the FAA community engagement officer is also attending. When the 050 procedure was brought up, I looked up an old email, and I recall that in 2019, the technical group was looking at it, and there were some conflicts with Bodega, and that there was going to be some prioritization issues. And I was just wondering, in the spirit of what the person from Oakland mentioned, that when, the FAA always says everything is interdependent and interconnected, and other communities are sometimes affected by initiatives to have the FAA make certain changes. And so I was just going to present that there are cities and areas that are not part of the SFO Roundtable, but that are affected communities. And so when these initiatives are done, it'd be great to just have a little bit of follow-up and to just express, to go back to the issues that were discussed before as part of the select committee. And there were many consensus recommendations from there, but thereafter, if there are new initiatives or they're different or outside the select committee recommendations, it would be great to have a more sort of regional conversation to see how other communities can also participate in initiatives to address noise and in coordination with everyone, whether it's Oakland or San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you. And on that note, Bert, is this something, trying to get United to use the other runway, is this something that you'll bring back information to the technical working group, and you'll be recording any noise complaints that come off of that from whether it's communities within the roundtable or outside the roundtable? That information will be brought back to us to see if it's effective or it's disaffecting some other communities?
We can, yes, but as far as the reporting on it, we do the night house report in the director's report monthly. So that's there, says what flights are, how many flights did what they did. And so we grade there as far as number of calls to go with that. We can bring that in as well.
Okay, it's just that, if we're making this suggestion, we want to make sure we're not harming other communities.
No argument there.
It's something that, to be fair, we do want to be inclusive, and we do want to
yes.
Make sure that we're not, that the noise office is not, and particularly this body, is not recommending that noise be shifted in any way.
Not unless we can get it over the bay. That's the best.
Great, thank you.
There are no other public comments. Oh,
Thank
I'm sorry,
Oh,
one late
please.
addition. Mr. Remy Tan.
Hello, again, Remy Tan, architect out in Pacifica. I was just looking at page 20 of the packet, and I noticed that for the night departures, Oakland Airport basically does most of its ones for the night hush, north and northbound, westbound, and southbound, which is the southbound, the 050 heading. And compared to that, San Francisco, most of it is in the other, which is the gray ones, and those are the ones that go directly over, our houses in South City, Daly City, and North Pacifica, coming out of 28 left and right. And then runway 1, they're going directly over, Oakland, San Leandro, and Union City. So I'm just wondering, I don't understand why Oakland Airport can have almost looks like close to 100% record of taking their flights out over the bay, and SFO has probably only about 10 to 20% that go over the bay, and everything's going all around houses. So I'd like Bert or the FAA to address that issue. Thank you.
I can if you'd like, ma'am.
If you're able, please.
I am. So the Oakland departures that you're looking at, the high number, they use a departure from the Oakland airport called the Sunny, S-U-N-N-E. And what it does is bangs a U-turn and goes down the bay, straight down the bay. So basically following what a 050 does. So that's great. Now, the ones that are going trans-Pacific, we try to get those to do the hush, which goes out and follows the night on this routing here out across the Pacific. Now, as far as our 050s, they tend to go out and over the bay as well, like the Sunny does. The ones that you are asking about as far as the gap departures, typically those are the heavies, need the longer runway, need to go into the wind for safety, and that's the reason they do it. We're, like I said, we're picking off airlines right now, targeting them, trying to see if we can get them to do more. Our next target is, well, one of our next targets is going to be Copa, going down to Panama, and we're going to ask them if they wouldn't mind doing a 050 rather than take the gap departure. That aircraft is right at the edge of its limits as far as fuel, so it might be fun conversation. It is 737-800 max.
Thank you, Bert, for that information.
Yes, ma'am. And I have the next presentation, if you're ready.
You do.
Okay. Disengage this one. And engage this one. So, been asked to speak to the Fly Quiet program. We really haven't done a whole lot with it lately, particularly with COVID. We had some issues with our application that we used to create the reports. We finally got all those dialed in and fixed. If you go on the website, you'll see the reports being posted. And they look like this on the left side. Yes, don't go blind, don't squint, please. We have better ways of showing it to you. But this is what it looks like when you're looking at a Fly Quiet report. We will talk about each of the points. And these points that we have are dealing with the fleet noise quality, so what an airline operates in the United States versus what they bring into SFO. So if they're bringing their louder aircraft into SFO and they're bringing their quieter aircraft elsewhere, we'll be asking that airline, why? we would like to see the quieter ones here. And so this gives us a platform to talk. It was originally designed by SFO in conjunction with the Roundtable at the Roundtable's request. And so we look at noise exceedances, the noise levels of the aircraft. We're looking at nighttime preferential runway use. We're looking at the shoreline departure rating, which Mr. Paul was asking about earlier. And I brought him over here and talked with him about it real quick because I had the image on my screen. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on that. We also have a gap departure rating, which Mr. Tam here was asking about as well. And then the newest one is our Foster City arrival rating. Foster City wanted to have a rating. They didn't have anything for that. So we took a look at what we could do, because we're looking for things that are pilot controllable, airline controllable, versus the controllers. We don't want it to be the controllers. We want it to be pilot and airlines. That way we can go to one source and see if we can get a fix. Now, does that mean that weather and controllers don't have a factor in it? No, there's some of that, but not as much as one might think. So the fleet noise quality, as I mentioned, we're looking at all the airlines. We're looking at what they bring in here, and this is airlines only, not the business jets, not the private airplanes. And so we go through that, we bring it in and report both the SFO numbers as well as the national. We look at the noise exceedance rating, and as you can see, they're color-coded by distance from the airport. Those that are closest to the airport obviously have higher thresholds. During the daytime, it has one setting, but during the nighttime, we drop it by 10 decibels to account for CNEL, the community noise equivalent level. And so it counts against the airlines for that. The nighttime preferential runway use, we were having some questions earlier, bless you, about the runways. And as you can see here, our runways are numbered based on compass headings. So if we're looking at runway 1, if you think of it as 010 or 10 degrees off of north, that's what this is. They just dropped the last digit. Come around here working clockwise, we have 10 left, 10 right, that's 100. We're 10 degrees off of due east. And then 19 is 10 degrees off of 180 or due south. And then we have 28, almost due west. So based on that, our preferential runway use at night would be that airlines come out on 10 to the east over the bay. Next selection would be what we used to call a shoreline, but it's now called a truckin' or a night, where the airlines will start on 28 and within Highway 101, make that right turn over the bay, keeping them off the community as much as possible. The next one would be a 1 departure headed across the bay. And then the least preferred would be a gap departure with 0 points. This is the shoreline. It's an old term, the shoreline. It was an old visual procedure. It was easier for the airlines to do before the FAA went and revamped their procedures with the Metroplex and created the truckin' and the night. And those are both what they call RNP procedures, required navigational performance. And under those, the airlines no longer are allowed to start their turn at 400 feet above ground level. They now have to go to 500 plus field elevation, which is done in 20-foot increments, so 520 feet. And they need to wait till they get to the end of the runway before they start it. So all those requirements kind of stack up against the airlines, and they wind up further into the community. So as I mentioned earlier, we're looking for good inside of Highway 101, marginal over Highway 101, poor, well, we're looking at some sad ones like this one here that go way out over the community, and including these here near. And so we rate those in the report, and we have those with the airlines ranked. And the summary page, which you saw in the very beginning, has all those in there. The gap departure rating, a lot of people like Mr. Tam are curious about this one, because it affects Pacifica and the cities all the way out the San Bruno Gap. We rank each aircraft type and also if it's going international or staying domestic. So this would be a 747-400 staying domestic. It has a pretty steep climb profile. And so we'll rank all those together. International one would have a much flatter one. And so as you're looking at this, it comes out to a scattergram like this. And we rate those for all the airlines. And we can do this based on time of day, everything. The last is our Foster City arrival rating. Under this one, it's kind of obvious. We are trying to stay out of this home plate shaped box here. Straight ins are okay, but not preferred, so they get a marginal 1 point. You go through the box, you're gonna get a 0. And if you do an offset arrival, you'll get 2 points. So we're looking for the offset arrivals, or the choice of those. We are now doing a new rating of offset arrivals for Foster City on our website that'll be appearing here over summer. We're just completing it with our vendor. We've done a lot of work on it. Mr. Srinivas, who's presented at a few of our technical working group meetings and we've spoken with, he was actually very helpful in designing that. So Lauren, formerly with the Noise Office, did. And then at the end of the year, the Roundtable Awards, based on most improved, the quietest flyer, and the chairman's choice. So the chairman has the ability, based on information that the Noise Office gives them on which airlines are working with us, how well the airlines are scoring in the Fly Quiet, obviously with the most improved and the quietest flyer, and they can then choose which airline they would like to award this to. It was named after John C. Long, who was my predecessor in the Noise Office. He unfortunately passed away while in office, and about the time we were creating the Fly Quiet program, and so the awards were named after him.
Thank you, Bert.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to make a?
Yes, I just wanted to make a really quick comment. Thank you, Bert, for that presentation. I wanted to preface that and just tell everyone, all the roundtable members, that I asked Bert to present that because the Fly Quiet program is a program that's going to be on our work plan for the year. The roundtable does work very closely with SFO on reviewing the metrics, and we're going to try to actively incentivize the program. And I think it was a great segue, especially considering the win that we got with United. These are the kind of things that we can start trying to work together directly with the airport. And so I just wanted to let all the roundtable members know that.
So do we have any members of the roundtable who have a question for Bert on this at this time? Yes, please, sure. Christine.
Christine Bowles from Pacifica. Thank you so much, Bert. I really appreciate you doing this analysis and trying to understand who the bad actors are and what the implications are to the different flight paths. You had maps for the two, but not for the gap that showed the flights. I don't know if that's
pretty
something
easy. So imagine looking side on to the gap. So 0 down here at brake release is on the airport at the beginning of runway 28. And as they depart and go out, 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles out, 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles at the coast. So each of these curtains in space is a gate. And that's where we count the altitude of the airline as they go through.
Okay. And do you know offhand, like when you get to Skyline, about what gate that is?
I would say probably just before gate 3.
Okay. So
Or right about
2,400
3.
feet is
Right about 3.
kind of where they, okay.
I mean, we can pinpoint it if you'd like.
I'm just curious because obviously, we have hills there of 650 feet too, so the noise
Agreed.
is louder, right?
There is rising terrain.
Right, okay. And then this particular one isn't showing like the number of flights, which you can kind of see on the map, right, to, or is it? No, that's altitude versus,
Right, so this is just one graph that we would drop the airlines into.
okay.
Gosh, let me,
I guess my comment in looking at the slide that has the gate, well, this was actually gate 3.
right.
Yeah, there are very few that are in the good, and most are in the average or poor. And I think that's getting to the noise that Mr. Tan and I hear that wakes us up.
No argument there. So here's what we're looking at, is the fly quiet through present. Where are you? Here we are. All right, so we're doing this on the fly, so that's always dangerous.
Yeah.
But
I can follow up with you later.
happy
not
to, but
take-
I thought since we're here, let's give it a real quick, and we're not going to be too late, I don't believe, so not going to offend anyone unless the chair would prefer I not, then we can stop. So here's what a fly quiet report looks like for the first quarter of 2025. So as you can see, we have, this is the summary page. So each of the ratings are here. Sorry?
Can you zoom or something?
It's also.
I can zoom,
For
yeah.
eyesight, we can't
I mean-
really read it, yeah.
Better?
I recognize a lot of these
Even
logos.
Stacy's younger eyes.
Yeah,
can't
I
read.
can, you know.
Yes. So, let's zoom back out just a bit.
Bert, perhaps you can send this out to the membership?
It's
after the-
online.
It is online?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
I've seen that. It was just the map of the flights, which that's just such a great graphic that you did for the other two sections that I'm missing.
well, one thing we used to do when we presented this for the roundtable, when they actually wanted to see it at the meeting, and then they got to a point where they didn't want to see it at the meeting, so it just fell into consent or not at all. But what we did is we did top 5, bottom 5. And so we showed who the top 5 were and who the bottom 5 were and how they were doing. Who's new to it, who's going up, who's going down. And a lot of the roundtable members found that informative and helpful.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I had one other question, and I'm not sure if it's completely related to this item, and so stop me if it's not, but last fall, we were hoping to get a presentation from the FAA about possible expansion to the night hush, number of flights, and also expanded hours. Do we have any idea when that might be coming?
If you're asking me, this is the first I've seen Carla at a meeting in a while, so we'd have to have some conversation to find out if that's on the radar.
Okay, yeah, it was
I mean,
supposed
up
to
till
come
now,
last fall is what I
It's
remember.
been
and it
radio
was delayed.
silence, I have to say.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I think that the FAA would prefer if we're not trying to ask and pin them down unless we give them prior notification that we're trying to do
Understood.
that.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll have the discussions when we get into the technical working group so that we can discuss some of those things.
And in case you're curious, this is the GAP page, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
So I think that if we don't have any other comments from the members, do we have any comments from staff on the Fly Quiet program?
There are no public comments.
Okay. So on the ground-based noise measurement program is the next thing on our agenda. And the ground-based noise subcommittee met, and we met on May 5th. The primary focus of the meeting was to receive the results of the Up the Hill noise study that was conducted at the direction of the Roundtable. The results of this study represents months of work between staff that included community input, careful planning, and technical analysis. As part of the Up the Hill Noise Study, the Ground Waste Noise Group worked closely with SF Noise Office and with our technical consultants, HMMH, to conduct targeted noise monitoring in communities closest to SFO. The results were shared and discussed thoroughly with ground-based noise in May, and tonight we're pleased to have Jean from HMMH here to share the final findings with the Roundtable. The presentation will cover the methodology, the measured noise level, and key takeaways based on both A-weighted and C-weighted data collected across multiple sites in July of 2024. Jean, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. You can go to the next slide. So, like the vice chair said, we discussed this at the last ground-based noise subcommittee meeting last month. So this presentation goes over the background, understanding the community concerns as to why we had the measurements, what the measurements showed, what we learned from that, and maybe some next steps and paths forward. So next slide, please. So for the background, the ground-based noise is focused on noise from San Francisco ground sources, such as thrust reverse when an aircraft lands and it uses its thrust reverse to slow the airplane, start a takeoff roll when it's just starting its procedures to depart the runway, taxi noise, engine run-ups, aircraft at the gate operations, etc. So things you would hear on the ground emanating from the airport. The committee was established in 2018 to assess noise in the adjacent communities to the airport, predominantly those to the west. Community concerns were that the CNEL, or the noise contours, do not adequately represent the aircraft noise environment of those adjacent communities, and that the low frequency noise is more prevalent in those areas than possibly to those that receive noise from the aircraft when they're overhead, such as out the gap. So the study focus to address those concerns was on determining departure runway 01 left, 01 right noise propagation, and monitoring low frequency noise, not only regular A-weighted noise, but also C-weighted noise, to see if the noise levels were indeed more prevalent in low frequencies. Thanks to the San Francisco Noise Office, Bert's team, they measured aircraft noise in Millbrae, Burlingame, San Bruno, South San Francisco, and Daly City. The study focused on noise from takeoffs or departures. Monitoring took place over 21 days in July of last year, and 14 locations were used, including both permanent and the temporary sites. So a total of 14, 9 of the permanent sites of their monitoring system, and then 5 additional sites that the San Francisco Noise Office put out at our, or the Roundtable, or the GBN subcommittee's recommendations. So as I said, we did want to include low frequency noise in this. I don't want to go into details on the difference between A and C weighting, except to say that C weighting of noise includes a lot of low frequency noise. We don't tend to hear low frequency noise well, so when you use A weighting, it more emulates our ears and how we perceive noise, which is why we have subwoofers today, because it heightens, you know, the sounds that we don't hear very well. And so anyway, we did want to measure both A and C weighting to address the low frequency noise issue. It included San Francisco departures on runways 01 left, 01 right, so those taking off directly away from those adjacent communities. We also looked at departures out the gap using 28 left and 28 right. San Francisco arrivals on 28 left and right, and that's mostly the thrust reverse. And actually, we also measured some Oakland departures that were on the candle procedure that Bert mentioned a little bit earlier. So each of the noise measurement sites measured between 300 and 1,000 aircraft events per day. So we got quite a bit of data over that 21 days. Next slide. So I know this is an eye chart. Not expecting you to see what's necessarily on here. The summary is on the right side, but it is worth looking at a little bit more closely when you have the time. But the average A-weighted noise levels are in the 80s if they are inside the 65 CNEL contour, and tend to be in the 70s and below when they are outside the 65 CNEL contour. So on an A-weighted basis, the contours and the noise levels measured seem to be in agreement. So for the average C-weighted noise levels, again, we saw pretty good agreement. They were in the 90s. If you were inside, if the noise measurements were conducted inside the 65 CNEL contour, and in the 80s outside of the 65 CNEL contour. So again, a noticeable difference in C weighting and A weighting, whether you're inside the contour or outside the contour. So that kind of pointed to the fact that whether it's A weighted or C weighted, it really doesn't, the ground noise isn't necessarily more low frequency noise than when the aircraft is above your head, that type of noise. All aircraft noise contain more low frequency. And so as you see that the C-weighted is about 10 dB higher than the A-weighted, which is pretty typical because you're adding a lot of the lower frequency noise energy into those measurements. Next slide. So looking back at the community concerns and hypotheses again, that the CNEL contours do not accurately reflect the noise environment for those communities immediately adjacent to the airport. That wasn't validated through measurements. We could see that the noise levels were lower in those communities and outside the contours than they are inside the contours, and that's both in A-weighted and C-weighted measurements. And measurements indicate that the low frequency noise is not more prevalent in these adjacent communities than if you are under the flight path. I think that's it. Yes.
So Bert, excuse me, Jean, so this isn't saying that these communities don't have a concern, and there is further research we're going to be doing in subcommittee to find out what we might be able to do to help mitigate some of these sounds for these communities.
Yes, that's correct. So basically, one of the hypotheses was that the contours needed to go out into these communities because we were just not predicting the noise levels well enough with the models and the measurements that we have. This showed that the noise levels are indeed lower outside the contours than inside the contours, so you didn't see, there was no impetus to say the contours should actually be going out there. Now, does that mean there are no noise concerns out there? No, as we know, everywhere there are noise concerns, outside the contours, inside the contours. You know, on arrival, we have several people that come to this meeting, you know, out from Palo Alto and those outlining areas that get the arrival noise, and they're well outside the 65 contour. Yes, there are still, noise doesn't stop at those contours. We're merely saying that the noise levels aren't higher. The noise contours are probably a good representation of the actual noise from the aircraft events, whether it's from ground noise or airborne noise. And yes, there is more that we can probably do. We know that the community does experience loud noise events from ground noise sources, and there are things that other airports have done. In fact, there are things that San Francisco's even already done to try to minimize the noise from ground sources, but maybe there's more that we can do.
Thank you. And while the results were not entirely what we anticipated, they really did provide valuable insights into noise impacts of the studied areas and helped shape our understanding moving forward. Now that the study's been concluded, much of the ongoing work on ground-based noise is going to transition to the technical working group. This next phase may include exploring additional ground level noise mitigation strategies, such as increasing education about rolling takeoffs, single engine taxiing, engine run-ups, limiting the use of reverse thrust on arrival, reducing aircraft queuing, and minimizing APU usage. These areas of focus will also be incorporated into the upcoming roundtable work plan to ensure that we make continued progress. Are there any questions about this study from the members? Yes, Ms. Giovanni.
Thank you for all the work you guys did. I just want to have a quick question. So in the Daly City area, was it mainly focused over in the Bay Shore area, I would assume, where the study was done?
Well, the reason we included Daly City was we wanted to compare the noise from aircraft going out the gap
Right.
versus noise from behind the started takeoff roll when they're departing the one. So we wanted to see whether there was more low frequency noise from ground noise sources or than there is from the airborne. And so we have out the gap as another source of noise, so that's why we use that.
Yeah. Thank you. For the comparative.
For the comparative, not to understand ground noise up in Daly City, but to use that as a comparative to the noise from ground noise sources.
Because it's pretty bad in the Bay Shore area as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Any other member questions or comments? Seeing none, how about the public?
Thank you, Vice Chair. There are no public comments at this time.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Tan, my apologies.
Thank you, Bert, for doing this. It's quite a detailed study, and it does show that, you know, outside that 65 border, there's a lot of noise, especially on Daly City, you know, because of that gap departure. So again, you know, urge to see if, you know, we can do anything to reduce the amount of late night gap departures. And this kind of reinforces that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. There are no other comments on Zoom or in the room. Thank you. Thank you.
So this brings us to member updates. It's the opportunity for roundtable members to share updates from their jurisdictions, highlight recent developments, or discuss relevant activities related to airport noise and community impacts. Do we have any member comments? Please.
Thanks, Chair O'Connell. Steve Rinaldi from City of Millbrae. And just wanted to update the group that I also sit on Airport Land Use Committee. And during our last session, we had a presentation from SFO regarding the expansion plans that they were looking to do. And for anyone who may not know, on the 2nd of this month, the draft EIR comments were due to SFO in San Francisco County regarding the EIR and comments from neighboring communities. One request I put in with SFO was to present the expansion plans to our Millbrae City Council. I was told that they had presented to our Planning Commission, which they did not, and I confirmed that. This year they did not do that, and I was also told that they had presented to our city manager, which they had not done. The reason why I bring this up is I know neighboring communities experience similar issues like Millbrae. For instance, Millbrae Ave tends to back up due to Uber and Lyft drivers staging, waiting for their next rides. So I think it's important, common theme that we've heard tonight is community engagement and working together with SFO. There's no doubt that our geographical region is a powerhouse when it comes to technology, and it's only growing. So as that happens, SFO is going to experience more traffic, and as they experience more traffic, our neighboring communities need to have a better understanding of how we work with SFO to mitigate those future issues. So I just want to put that comment forward to SFO again. You're welcome to come to Millbrae City Council and present the expansion. I'm only one of the 5 voices there, and I think it would be helpful for us to partner together so we can avoid those pitfalls in the future.
Thank you so much. It's good information to have, and I hope that the airport is listening. I would like to say that we are working on scheduling the next technical working group meeting. We are having a little bit of difficulty getting member interest in this group. And I just wanted to say that it's really a good place to come, even if you don't sign up to be part of the group officially, that there's a lot of information that you can glean from attending the meetings. It's very helpful. And the more input we have from member communities that can really talk one-on-one and have a deeper dive into some of the metrics and methodology and pitfalls and things that we can and can't do and what we can ask and what we can't ask of either the FAA or of the airport itself is really important, and it gives you a really great understanding. So I do urge any of the members here in the room that would like to join that technical working group once we get a meeting set up, please reach out to myself, the chair, or to our executive director so that we can get a really robust group of people. And again, I want to reiterate that we are looking for someone or people who may have an interest in the website, and rather than needing to be on the technical working group directly, if someone has website expertise, we would certainly appreciate their input and or their help on this project moving forward. With that, does staff have any comments to make at this time?
Susie.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Niedenmeyer. Peter.
Thank you very much. I also have a comment based on the development plan, SFO development plan, that was presented to us at the last meeting. And I did not hear that the draft EIR was going to be published the next day. So I don't sit on the board that Stephen sits on. So I didn't know about the EIR. Sorry. And I just feel like there should be a little bit better communication that was coming, because then the public comment period closed before I had a chance to get my counsel to write a letter stating our concerns that whether they're not changing anything on the runways, they're still doing some expansion. It's going to create more flights. It's going to create more noise. I think that's an issue. So I just wanted to bring that up, that maybe a little bit better communication about that was coming could have been brought forward.
I agree with that, and with EIRs, when a entity wants to do it quick, they have 45 days, and boy, that 45-day period goes really quick. It's always nice when a government entity will extend those comment periods, because it is an impactful EIR, but it doesn't always happen. So it is something that's hard to stay on top of, and we will try to make sure that the membership gets aware of those things. With that, no other comment? Oh, please, Christine.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Well, now you have to come up.
Hands still raised. Any other comments from the public? Other than that, I would take a motion to close the meeting.
Wow.
Move we adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting with great thanks to the Vice Chair for conducting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Time is 8:30.